Yes, I can see you. And do you mind if I put you on to... Oh, thanks, Ilangho. Do you mind if I put you on to
Yeah, yeah,
the stream? That's okay?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just have to cover all the other people. There you go. Oh, I have to move so you can see me. Hey, Ilangho, I shall see you in a couple of days.
Hi. Yeah. So Merry Christmas to you and everybody.
Oh, thank you.
So you were talking to Siri today.
Yeah. He said a really
How
beautiful thing
different?
about life. I was surprised by how beautiful that quote
Yeah.
is. Normally, if you ask him questions like that, he doesn't answer. He says, you need to speak to somebody else about this.
How is Siri different from you, or you are different from Siri, or we are different from Siri?
Well, what happens with the human body is that consciousness looks through. There's a thing that called consciousness, which is put into the body, which looks through. And then what also happens in the human body, so there is this sense in the of this looking through of presence, where presence isn't looking through this, but presence is looking at it. So through the human body comes presence, which is who you truly are. And then when it looks through this body, what also arises in this body is a sense that you are someone, that you are a person. So then that presence almost gets mixed with the sense that you are someone in time, and then it looks out into the world and it sees the world as separate, that you are someone here and that the world is out there. Whereas Siri and this phone is appearing in presence. But presence isn't looking through this, but presence is looking at it. And is it? Whereas these bodies, presence, that sense of being, that sense of amness and the knowing, the consciousness is looking through this instrument, these bodies.
So we are different from that computer.
Not we on the
Or
human level, on the human part. If you speak from the relative part, we're in a way we're made of the same. We're dead, inanimate objects.
the human.
Yeah. So in a
You say
way,
the
we're both robotic instruments, but presence looks through these instruments at this, and then knows itself.
okay. So the instrument and this human are robots. Correct.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and everything is isn't alive. So we think that life is alive, but everything isn't alive. It's like dead matter, and then the presence looks through these instruments, and that's what's alive. That's what knows itself.
So the human body is not alive.
No. It's what we in our language, we call it life and death. So we call the movement of this body life. So when the heart beats and when it functions in a certain way. But actually, a friend of mine was telling me, and I don't know if I can repeat what they said, that scientists actually don't know what a live cell is and a dead cell is. But we can say that the functioning, what we define as life, is when the body, the heart beats and the blood moves around, the brain is working, and this is what we define as life, as being alive. But
So what do you define as life?
what do I find as life? Actually,
Yeah.
everything. What do I define as life or alive, did you say?
No, you said the scientists think that the heart beating and the blood being pumped and the brain working is life. But you don't agree with that, and you say that the human body is dead.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you could get intricately, you could get very complicated with concepts, but the human body, the aliveness, that presence, that sense of knowing now, that sense of existence, has got nothing to do with the body or anything that appears in life. That is the essence, that is what's alive. Then all of this is look through, all of this dream is look through. And all of that, you could say, is that essence, but none of it is independently alive. None of it exists separately.
So
In
the
our
human body,
human world, we have a definition of what we call alive and dead, but actually that isn't really what's alive and dead, because nothing dies, nothing disappears, it transforms into something else. It's only because we associate a soul with a body, we think the soul goes out with the body at a certain point when it stops moving in a certain way, and then we call that dead.
so the human body and Siri, they are the same.
Ultimately,
The iPad that you have is made up of silica. Whatever the computer chips are made up of,
yeah,
which is actually sand. And the human body is made up of all these carbon-based atoms. So
yeah,
ultimately, they are all matter,
yeah,
and they are programmed.
yeah. They have a programming to them, yeah, but the programming is
They have a
always
program.
evolving and always
Yeah,
upgrading.
but the program is there. The
Yeah,
program is there.
yeah,
As that Siri has got an answer for what is life,
yeah,
which was programmed by somebody.
yeah,
So what I am asking you is also programmed by somebody. I'm
yeah.
actually a doll.
Yes, but you're an evolving one where I don't think the computer is evolving. So you're learning from the information that's given to you, which is amazing. So you're growing, just like a plant grows from the water. You're growing from the
Yeah, but
information.
but there is no you here. There is only a functioning.
Yeah. So that
But you just
functioning,
now told me that
the
yeah,
fun-
you is
that's
evolving.
that you that functioning. Then you can say is evolving
Evolving based on what input? From who?
from the apparent outside.
What is that outside?
The outside to that functioning. So that Ilangho has a particular functioning, and then the outside to Ilangho. So the outside world.
Is it the creator then? The programmer?
Yes. The programmer is boundlessness, is affinity, is this undescribable thing which is experiencing now in this instant, which is this essence.
The X factor, the God principle.
Yeah.
Something like that?
I don't know what you mean by the God principle.
The force, the life force which is giving life to this body.
Yeah.
The presence,
That's experiencing itself, yeah.
the presence.
Yeah.
So the presence is actually evolving me, moment to moment.
Yes, but that's the way it set up the dream. So it's on automatic, but yes, that's the way it's set up the dream. Is that the dream is constantly evolving and growing and getting more and more intricate. Yeah.
But the dream has been designed by the presence.
Yeah.
This conversation.
But it's actually spontaneously creating. It sounds like it's sat in a back room. And it's more like an explosion of energy. But I can't even describe that. It's impossible with our human brains to think about it.
Can you just say that sentence again, please?
It's impossible with the human brain to think about it.
Then how does the human unravel this?
Now, luckily, it's not about thinking. The thinking is experienced. So everything you think and feel and every idea you get is being experienced by infinity, by something that has no questions and has no answers. That's absolutely whole, and you could describe it as love. That's right here. This presence, this essence, that's vibrating, that is everything, that hears my voice. That's who you are. This instant.
How is it that you and all the enlightened persons keep talking about this presence or this unitary principle as love? And
Yeah.
love is looked upon usually as a positive phenomena.
Yeah, it is love because it's absolute unconditioned love. So it's not from anything. Its nature is love. The nature of I amness or amness is love. The nature of that presence is love. It's the manifest to that stillness. The stillness is the emptiness, is the vastness, is the non-holding on, the non-attachment to anything. And then the amness, the manifest side, the everything side, is total and utter love. I really can't split them out. Like everything I say is like a poem. You have to throw it away because it's not some neat concepts, but it's trying to evoke something deeper in you.
So this presence is infinite love.
Yeah.
Unconditional.
Yeah. Not because of anything. And it's right. It's available anytime in the worst circumstances of life.
So is this love equated to happiness of the human being?
Happiness is something that comes and goes, but when this is seen and recognized, and when this shift happens, this energetic expansion happens, then it maybe you could call it
Infinite love,
happiness.
infinite happiness.
But no, it's not infinite happiness, because happiness comes and goes, but it changes the person. Or you could call it happiness, but happiness without cause. Not happiness as a sensation, as a feeling. Normally we think of happiness as excitement or a response to something. What do you feel? What do you feel right now, Ilangho? Right here, right now, and it doesn't have to be feelings in the body, whatever is coming and happening here, because it's all about here, not about what you think. Here, this. And that could be just the breath.
Anxiety.
You feel anxiety. Do you have a location of that anxiety? Your cup is so small compared to mine. Dinky cup.
Flask, you're holding a flask.
Sorry?
You're holding a flask? Flask.
Yeah. Yeah, my flask.
If you ask me now, it's not localized anywhere in the body. So whenever there is an emotion, usually it goes to this area, the heart area. But the feeling has always been one of anxiety for me.
Yeah.
Anxiety to meet the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the limited armaments that you have.
With the limited what that you have?
With the limited resources that you have
yeah.
in your body and blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's the constant pattern of is future hold something for you. That you get rest in the future, and it's a pattern that you will have started so young. That you'll have always been told that you get safety and security from the future. You'll have had traumas and you'll have associated to it, like scares when you were a child. You might not even remember them. And you'll have associated that your security comes from the future. So what it does is it has an underlying feel of anxiety, always fixating on the next moment. And it just tenses the body slightly. It's not even that deep a suffering, but it's a sense of dis-ease, like there's got to be a movement to the future.
Okay, I'll just interrupt you now. Yeah. You're talking to me, to the you.
Huh?
You're talking to you. You're talking to Ilangho here. You're addressing me as you. Right? Which appears as a contradiction to just what you spoke about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, might do.
You say it's functioning. I mean, because I have understood it, but you said, I think I've been repeating this quite often. 2015 was like non-duality message, and anybody was trying to just slip away from the path was like blasted. But now 2016, it's becoming more of duality.
Yeah.
So there is a flip-flop between addressing the you and you do this, and then saying that you doesn't exist and there is a functioning.
Mm-hmm.
How to overcome this contradiction or the discrepancy for us who are listening to it?
Well, I just wouldn't focus on it. I wouldn't focus on it. I would just be open to whatever I say in the moment.
But it is glaring. It's like the black and white, the day and night. You say the day is correct and then the night happens. You say there is no you.
Yeah.
It's just a functioning understood. Like the Siri, this is the functioning happening.
Yeah.
Then you address the you and you give instructions to the you.
Yeah. I wouldn't fixate on it. So what does it make you feel when I do that?
Is even Lisa compromising?
That's not a feeling, that's a thought. What does it make you feel when I do that?
That overlay of anxiety is there. Maybe it's becoming more.
And the reason that it becomes more is because your mind cannot get into the stream of intellectual understanding. So therefore you don't know where I'm coming from, so it increases fear. If you can find this map, this intellectual map, then it makes you feel more safe and the anxiety and the fear relaxes a little. But actually, finding safety in the intellectual map actually in the long term increases the anxiety.
Now I've got your message that the freedom is here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the happening.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
That message is well understood.
Yeah.
But because we are talking and because there is a language and there is sort of a Q&A session happening here on Ustream, on YouTube. I was just thinking, like, earlier your message was like on the bullseye, saying that it's just this baby.
Yeah.
Now it's becoming like, where do you feel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where the contradiction of the you becomes more and more. This is what teachers for eons have been doing, from Adi Shankara to even Osho to probably Eckhart Tolle, saying, you stay in the now, you be in the present.
Yeah.
But when Lisa exploded into the scene, there was no you.
Yeah. There is no you, ultimately.
Yeah, ultimately. But again, now she's sort of flip-flopping onto the you scene.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask this question. How does somebody who's following you reconcile that at the mind level? Because language is mind.
Yeah.
Whenever you speak, it's the mind. And
I wouldn't worry about it. I'd just come back to the feelings.
Yeah.
I know that's really like a...
My question is actually...
Sounds like a not very interesting answer to me.
No. Yeah. My thing is like, when there are so many people around who keep talking about the you.
Yeah.
And your message is not the you.
Yeah.
And though I do understand it's coming through Lisa now, and Lisa doesn't have any control over what's coming through the Lisa body. Yeah. It's like, for example, there were so many teachers, and I was fixated with Osho for a lot of reasons. Nobody could, match his way of functioning and living the way he lived. Like he was walking the talk, where others did not do that. That's why I respected Osho very much, irrespective of all the things which happened behind him, or the lot of controversies which surrounded him. Why I loved that man was he walked the talk. Like I can talk about courage now and then whimper like a cat next moment, whereas he strode the planet like a giant.
Yeah.
Coming to Lisa, it was like a non-compromise on the you delivery. There's no you.
Yeah.
So why is now Lisa going back to the what the other people did? Where I found even now that that you changed. We called it the cliche, English cliche of a paradigm shift in the teaching of.
Yeah.
This is it. Doing happens. And when I asked the question of what should I do,
because Ilangho, you're a perfect example of it, because you're a perfect example of why the shift more than likely happened. I can't ultimately tell you why life does things. It does things, but because the thing is it's really beautiful that you resonate so much with the way that there is no you, because it is true. But
correct.
The thing is what happens with your body-mind is you take it in on the mind level. The reason actually I reckon that you're attracted to me as a speaker isn't because of my accuracy in the intellect, or isn't because of my accuracy with words. It's because you resonate on a heart level. Now I know that this is most probably like, and you don't want to go there, but there's a resonance on a heart level. And what I mean by the heart level is that I remind you of a love and an innocence that's beyond the intellect, that's beyond anything. And actually, I would suggest that what will happen, even if I change speaking, and even if I go to saying more yous, which is what you didn't like and what you wanted to leave, you won't mind, because the heart is resonating with this subject. So what happens is that you'll be pulled back to me anyway, and you'll begin to realize that the intellectual words, and that's not really what's important. What's important is this innocence that's experiencing this now.
Shall I respond to that?
Okay. I like the smile on your face.
That's your interpretation.
But can I just say, when I said the heart stuff, you have to watch this back on YouTube to know it. But when I said it, you went like this, and I almost interpreted it like, oh, this is getting a bit close. Like you went, oh, like almost getting air, like a woman would fan herself.
Yeah, body language.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get back to that. That is your interpretation of what you think I am, what's happening to me. Yeah. But I remember uh, when I started speaking to you last year only, in the mid of last year. But when I started Skyping to you, the message that you gave to me when I asked you the question of, you said that words don't matter and mind don't matter, but I just wanted to share with you. When I asked you, what should I do in this so-called dream journey? You replied back saying, doing happens. And I actually told Julie for your second book, I mean, when there's a lot of questioning about what should be the title.
Yeah.
Put the title of the book as, instead of love, 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 it's like there are so many love around. Put the title as doing happens, because that probably could be the message which could prevent the fourth world war or third world war. Doing happens was a word given to me, which many speakers, many teachers, many gurus, many, probably Vedic rishis or Adi Shankara or Osho, so many people could have said that in so many different ways, and it would have got slipped into the verbal, things that they were talking. But your message was very crisp. Doing happens. And you said, if you understood what I said by doing happens, quote unquote, you wouldn't be asking me. This happened, and for about a few days or a week, I was like perturbed as to, you're very strict. And I thought, my God, I mean, she's like very strict and very strict master material. I shouldn't respond in some stupid way where that connection is lost. But then it slowly sunk into me. Maybe that key opened my heart.
Yeah.
And then the resonance happened. But that was the key.
Yeah.
That
That's
word
really
was
beautiful. And I find that really beautiful, my answer, that doing happens, because that is true. Doing always happens. There isn't actually an independent doer. And
there is no doer. Yeah. But that was a message given through talk.
Oh, well, that's what you think.
You can say, there was a silent transmission. That's what, people say. For example, a lot of gurus and disciples, they go and meet somebody.
Couldn't there even be a silent transmission in those words? The doing happens. Like, it's just this happening way beyond anything that we can possibly think about.
Had this happened to me without you typing those words on Skype, doing happen, then that is understood. That's a scientific reason, cause and effect. But the word struck was doing happens. Yeah. Then you relate that with the doing happens.
But it does. Even if I were to say to you, okay, Ilangho, go into your feelings and feel your feelings, you think that I'm prescribing something to you. But that's not true. There is a flow of energy like the wind blowing the tree.
Correct.
There is nobody giving any message to anybody here. There isn't. Even if I say the word you or do this or do that, it's impossible for me as an independent entity to give you an independent answer. There is a flow of energy happening, and that's it, always. Whether I say you or not you, there is energy moving. And I say this note and you say that note, just like a piano,
Yeah.
happening. So this note happens, an off chord happens, and then another chord happens, and another chord.
Yeah, but again, before Bali, you were like us.
Yeah.
After Bali, there has been a shift in that.
Yeah.
And you speak from a dimension of that oneness. Whatever.
I wouldn't exactly say it's me, but that's okay.
Whatever entity is speaking to, whatever entity is speaking across this. I just got lost.
That's the best time.
I'll just get back to that. Yeah. That oneness or whatever is there is talking. I lost the track.
That's okay. It's actually a really nice feeling when you lose your track and not living in that mental dimension.
No, I was wanting to ask you about again how to put together this discrepancy. This is it. I got it. See, you speak from infinity, which is one whole.
Yeah.
Probably what the Indians called it as Brahman. One thing which acts. That's what happened to you after Bali. But to us, we are still in a multidimensional space-time world where there is a cause and effect. As you told, suppose you say, pass me the sugar, I'm going to pass you the sugar. There's a cause and effect. And when you said doing happens, and there's a shift in me, and slowly it happened. How to reconcile to us who are in the pre-Bali phase of our life, that there is an apparent cause and effect in a dualistic world. This is the question. There is an apparent cause and
I
effect.
wouldn't even try to reconcile it. I wouldn't even try to. It's just a complete surrender to not knowing. Whatever is said. So this person says that, this person says that, and when there's a resonance and an opening, that's all that's what's happening. Like, I wouldn't even try to reconcile it. You never will be able to get your head around all of this. I remember after Bali, there was settling down in this body-mind mechanism, and it's still going on, this settling down and this integration of that profound shift that happened. But after Bali, I remember the first thoughts that were coming up I remember the first thought that came up was, nobody was right. None of the speakers were right. Like, which one was right? There was none that was right. This doesn't even touch the way that people phrased it in words. And then even for a little while, the mind oscillated, because the mind had a lot of digesting to go. The thought processes oscillated between what was right and wrong. Because there was nothing that was right, nothing that I'd ever heard or that had ever been spoken about with non-duality fitted with this. And then there was the mind, the thought processes that came up, and then it sort of just dissolved in that you will never know. There is nothing that can ever be right. And one of the most, even the whole time that I've been speaking, I've always really hit hard on that the intellect can never get this. The first chapter, or the introduction to for the love of everything, for the love of everything, the first chapter is that you can't understand this, you can't get this in a concept. The concepts are simply, the speaking is simply an excuse for the resonance to happen.
But you did get across with the language. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Though you do say this is beyond the mind, you got across to me with the mind when you said doing happens. Otherwise, whatever shift which has happened within me should have happened without you telling anything to me.
No, that's an idea. That's just an idea. I know that sounds like a very logical idea, but it's an idea. It's not that you could be sitting, it couldn't have been any other way. I had to say that, and there had to be that energy, that deconstruction that happened there.
Deconstruction. But in the space-time world, there is a cause and effect, apparent cause and effect. So the cause was you telling me that, and the effect was this.
Yeah.
That is what I'm asking you. How do I reconcile with that?
Well, you can't.
It appears to be like two totally different worlds we are living in. That's why a lot of times I had asked you, but you never answered that question. It's like being a schizophrenia, split mind. No, it's like certain computers have a Mac system operating and a Windows system. Certain computers have that. They are not Windows or Mac. They have two compartments. So when you enter this phase of non-duality, it's like there is a oneness, and then you go to work every day, do the routines of life, where there is a cause and effect. You push the lift button and the lift goes to the ground floor. You can't say with energy let the lift go to the ground floor. Can it? Can you do that? There appears to be a cause and effect which is shouting at you every day.
Yeah.
Right? Seems to be. So unless I press the computer
there seems to be us two talking, and then there seems to be an effect of us two talking.
Right. Yeah. Unless I press the computer button, the computer is not going to light up.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
How can it light up without a cause and effect and me staying like this? It's going to happen without the mind.
No, I wasn't saying that at all. It seems to appear in cause and effect. So it seems that I say these things and that they have an effect.
That is, my question is exactly that. How do I reconcile by being in a space-time in a dual world of cause and effect, and ultimately the Bali to happen in me? Though I do understand
I just don't think that you will be able to reconcile it, but I think it's the giving up of the attempt too, that this doesn't make sense and that this is full of contradictions, and that the mind isn't a sufficient tool to understand anything. It really isn't.
But my mind understood.
I don't think your mind did. I think it broke a hole in your mind.
Something. I don't know.
A crack happened,
But that word,
and the light got in.
no, the word doing happens is so simple. It's so simple,
Yeah,
but it is so profound.
yeah,
I don't think the human race can be given any other message apart from this. If somebody can understand the word doing happens, then everything is understood. There is one, life is a verb. It's understood what so many people have been talking about.
yeah,
It's like a river flowing loud. So talking so many big, like, I don't know, Heraclitus or somebody from Greece, that you can't take water from the same river again. So life flows.
yeah,
So when you say doing happens, there is no doer, there's only action. So
yeah,
everything becomes just one.
yeah.
That happens through the mind. Why are we saying the mind is not important? That's what I was trying to ask you.
Well, I don't know if I'm
Mind is
saying the mind isn't important, but I'm just saying you keep saying, how do I reconcile that there is
reconcile.
nobody and that there is nobody acting and that there is no cause and effect, and then on the other side that there is cause and there does seem to be cause and effect, and that there does seem to be me saying prescription, but ultimately there isn't. And I'm saying there is no that you can't reconcile that.
Reconciliation.
It's a total contradiction. It's beautiful. You just can't get there with the mind.
But the mind is what turned me towards you.
So you think.
I have read so many books, and then this two words of English language, which is not like Shakespearean,
Yeah.
it's not like Hamlet and Macbeth. I mean, it's not like thou speaketh or something like that. It's like saying doing happens.
Yeah.
And something, and that went in and sunk, and everything, like it was like a catalyst to some chemical reaction. Everything came into place, crystallized, saying that's it. That's it, baby.
Yeah.
And then whatever you says is easily understood. It's like removing all the barriers, like saying
But
the
if you
freedom
really,
is.
if you understand that doing happens, you can also understand that it doesn't matter if I say you can't do
Doesn't
anything
matter.
or you can
Doesn't
do
matter.
something.
No. Doesn't matter. But what I was trying to actually convey across to you is, for a person like me, a seeker, that word resonated. So there are so many seekers still listening to you. I mean, throughout the world and increasing. So if that message, that direct message is given, maybe you'll be breaking them rather than, talk about the prescriptions where it may not break the shell. That's what I was thinking. Because there are a lot of people to give prescriptions, from doctors to therapists
Yeah.
to psychologists to psychiatrists who don't know what life is about. Whereas you are just hitting it on the head.
Yeah.
If that message is kept on being driven and again, I was just thinking that would produce more of ripples. That was what I was trying to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me what you talk.
Yeah. It
I
doesn't
think I
matter
have
to
come
me
to
either.
no return. Come to a point of no return, sort of, like it's irreversible.
Yeah.
It's the end of story. The last slide has come. It's just a matter of living the rest of whatever is going to happen.
Yeah. Nice. Well, Ilangho, I'm going to go now. It's 8:30, but I shall see you in Sunday, Monday,
What,
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 days at the airport in
5:30.
Chennai.
5:30.
At 5:30. Yes. I will send Sundar, is that his name? A message now. I must remember to do that.
Sundar.
Sundar, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, thank you, Ilangho. Nice to speak with you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you for calling.